potential to explore so many other appeals, emotions aside from humor.
So when deadlines are tight and expectations are high, so how do you consistently come up with good ideas?
Instead of trying to look for the best answer, I challenge the question.
You have been the part of many successful pitch wins throughout the career.
The thing that the leader needs to be is to be honest.
So, hi Manish, thank you so much for joining us today, first of all. And you know what? I have always wanted to meet you, to be honest, and now I finally got the chance.
I'm happy and I'm a big admirer of the big things you're doing so early in life. I think a lot of people uh, think, overthink that they want to start something like this, but few people like you have the courage and conviction to actually do it. So kudos to you. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, so before we dive into like core discussion, I would like to ask, like you do copywriting, also like brand consulting, brand marketing, content strategy, marketing consulting, and also write songs. Like, are you even real? I really want to know. Like, how do you manage everything?
I'm just very curious. I'm just very curious. And to be honest, I think these are all doors into the same room, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big seeker of how words and ideas can move people. And whether that's through marketing, whether it's through songwriting, whether it's through copywriting, whether it's through an idea, my pursuit is always to be able to create greater impact with uh, the way I think and the way I can move people.
Okay, so let's move on to our first segment. थोड़ी सी जान पहचान हो जाए. So, like, I am really curious about the secret behind the amazing concept and copy in this package like you create for 1 minute brief. Like, how do you do? I really want to know.
Well, you know, it looks like 1 minute brief, but it
Yeah.
takes for a creative person almost a lifetime of juggling through various ideas to arrive at that one idea which they feel, aha, this may work, right? So the process is really when you do something over and over again, you quickly are able to put first a lot of basic ideas onto the table. Then years of experience gives you the judgment that this one has potential, and you spend more time observing, you know, a unique perspective to a product that has not been explored, a moment that has not been experienced, and then you double down on that. That's when the work really begins. That's how the output is. It's not really a spec ad. It's a way of looking at a product that is different from probably what you see in commercial advertising.
I totally agree with you. Okay, so like you have worked with like fashion and luxury brands. So how should luxury niche brands behave on social media, like which is very mass platform?
So I think it's just like, you should be yourself wherever you are, right? Whether you're a luxury brand or you're a mass brand. If you're a luxury brand, stay a luxury brand even on social media, right? A lot of people will see it. Uh, a few people relate to it. Fewer still will respond to it. But you don't change your identity because the medium changes, right? Uh, I think one more thing to understand is how the luxury consumer behaves on social media, right? They're not looking for products. They have plenty of access to products. They're interested in things like art, unique points of view, craftsmanship, history, stories, right? And luxury goods and products normally are built out of those, right? So lead with those and let luxury consumers who are looking for those things find your product as a manifestation of those things.
Okay, like one more thing I have noticed, like in your LinkedIn profile, you did, I think, digital marketing course in 2020. And on that time, you were already doing something like great and you're already working in big agency. So, like, why did you feel the need to do digital marketing course when you were already working at reputed agency? Like, I am actually curious. Like,
Sure. No, so look, I'd rather be the most experienced student in the room and then the most experienced person with old answers, right? I think markets change, people change, platforms change. Anyone who
yeah,
thinks that they have reached the end point of this profession is this profession is about exploring new ideas, new frontiers. So how can you put a finish line to it, right?
Yeah.
Nobody has ever become an expert in advertising. You can just become an expert in learning about advertising, about human behavior, right? The more passion, more curiosity you bring to the table, the better you'll be able to perform in this profession. That's my thought process, and that's what led me to uh, maybe not learn but refresh, interact with different perspectives, so that I break the mold of what I'd formed of my own and open myself up to new ideas and new ways of looking at things. It was more a learning experience, unlearning experience as well, as much as a learning experience.
Okay, so you are a creative director, and you know what, like most people say, like creative director, like they don't do anything except approving the creatives. So, and you're also like a creative strategist and also like creative director, and so, like, I actually wanted to know, like, what's the real difference between these roles, like copywriter, creative strategist, and creative director? Like, you have worked in all
Sure,
these perspectives. So,
sure. So I think for me also, the journey was from a copywriter, then to a creative director, then to a creative strategist. So I may be in a good position to answer this question for you, at least from my personal perspective, right? Um, so a copywriter is good with the craft. They will add flourish to the line. They will say how to say what needs to be said, right? And the creative strategist is the person who has a little more business acumen, has knowledge of the outcome of what this line is supposed to achieve, right? So they will decide what is to be said before the copywriter decides how it's supposed to be said. I think a creative director's role now has become more to kind of create a space where all ideas are encouraged, exercise taste and judgment in terms of, when things are headed in the right direction. Uh, Remove the friction between strategy and creative, uh, pick out the right idea, and create an environment where good ideas are produced consistently. It's more managing about talent, egos, emotion, more than anything else, right? And you've got to be, as a creative director, be able to sell the idea internally as well as to your clients.
like nowadays, I have seen like copywriter and creative strategists, like they are all cracking the brief. Like they are all searching for the ideas and writing copy. So, like when their roles are different, so why they are
No,
doing
so
each other
that's
work?
where the no, so as I said, look, what happens is that in a football team or any sports team, there's a
Yeah.
captain who essentially, when there are a number of ways of approaching a particular situation, has to have the conviction and put their head on the chopping block that I think this is the best way to go, right? So it's a good thing that copywriters, strategists are all cracking the briefs. This is sharpening their skills to one day take the helm of leadership. And when so many different ideas, maybe all good, maybe all differing, are on the table, to exercise their judgment, which is the best one, right? So the more you sharpen the pencil, the better you would be able to produce the final result as the leader of that team.
Do you think like if a person in an advertising industry, that person should have like all the knowledge, like graphic, copywriting, or strategies, like everything? Do you think he should possess every knowledge, every kind of?
Uh, Sure, knowledge, sure. They may not be the best at everything, right? But as I said, it is in the end like a relay, right? Sometimes a good copy needs very little graphic support, and the
Yeah.
graphic designer needs to exercise that discernment, but they should be able to recognize that this is really good copy, right? Sometimes the art director has come up with such a brilliant visual idea that the copywriter should respect that this idea visually is so strong it barely needs any copy, or maybe even doesn't need copy, right? If you only know your discipline and you exercise only your discipline, there'll just be a clash of ideas and skill sets rather than a integrated approach to the best result.
Okay, so one more thing, like nowadays, like balancing humor and creativity has become like increasingly difficult. Like a small misstep can trigger significant backlashes. So, as a creative leader, how do you ensure that ideas remain bold, funny, and engaging without crossing the line?
So, once when I was giving a lecture, someone asked me this very question. Today, so many people's sentiments can be hurt. What
Yeah,
kind of campaign should you do? Right. And it put me also in a tizzy. And, as a joke, I just said that I think five-star has got it right. Do nothing, like in the
yeah,
sense that campaign line cannot offend anybody. Right. But to be fair, you know, when you're essentially using humor in
yeah,
advertising, right? You need to know who this joke is on and would they also laugh with it, right?
yeah.
Uh, if they can also and they would also laugh with it, I think you're in a safe territory, right? But if they would take offense, then I think that's a red line you should avoid crossing. And to be honest, I think humor is the a classic default most teams, just depend on. There are so many other emotions, right? And I think advertising has the potential to explore so many other appeals, emotions aside from humor. And I'd love to see more of that, right? You can hear a joke once. The second time it won't be funny, but a good story you can hear a number of times and it will still be a rich experience.
Loved your answer. It's really going to help so many people. Okay, so let's move on to our segment second, like Kam Ki Baat. Like ideas can come in a minute or sometimes take a week. So when deadlines are tight and expectations are high, so how do you consistently come up with good ideas, especially since you have already built a reputation for great work?
So I think to be a good creative person, you have to be your biggest critic. Your standards have to be higher than your clients, your teams, right? That's the only way you consistently produce good work, right?
Yeah,
We are very hard on ourselves, right? But there are sometimes shortcuts and intelligent shortcuts, right? So I remember at one time when the deadline was very small and a number of teams were competing for the same account. Instead of trying to look for the best answer, I challenged the question. And challenging the question itself gave me a very unique perspective from what the others would apply themselves in terms of an answer, right? And that won us the pitch. So when time is not yours on your side, your instincts and intuition and your intelligence has to come to the rescue. And probably a solution like this can be explored.
so, like, do you have any framework or exercise or mental process that helps you generate strong ideas under pressure? Like everyone has.
Um, well, sure, sure. So I think it all I keep saying this that the brief is never about the products, it's about the
Yeah,
person, right? Now, if you're making a creative spec ad, here the person may be other creative people, right? What is it that they would see and say, oh wow, I wish I had thought of that, right? And if it's a product, what is that one feeling that you want to evoke in that human being that you think this would most powerfully evoke, right? Uh, you focus on those, right? The process is simple, right? In terms of start with empathy. Uh, what is the person that you are creating this piece of communication for struggling with or wants to feel right now, right? Uh, then you approach how do we make them feel that, right? It's, as I said, the product is a means to an end. But so for instance, if someone is buying a shoe and
yeah,
they want to effectively tell the world, they've heard that the first thing people look at is people's shoe. They want to show up as a more confident person, right? you know that the creative has to make the person feel confident and not flatter the shoe, right? So focus on the human emotion, the human need. I think that's the way to essentially come up with powerful creative work, right? Without relying too much on tools or craft.
I agree. Okay, one thing like I have noticed in advertising agency, like advertising industry is an industry where audiences, culture, and consumer behavior like keep changing with every generation. So, given that tastes and perspective evolves constantly, so anyone truly like become an expert in advertising? Do you think?
Oh no, like I mentioned, right? There is no finish line to this, right?
Yeah,
Can a musician ever become an expert musician, right? Can a poet ever become an expert poet? No, they keep striving to raise their own bar, and this is a discipline, and it's a journey that you take. The more time you invest the more passion you put into it, you realize there's so much more farther you can go, right?
yeah.
So there is no being an expert in advertising. I think the day you feel you're an expert in advertising, you become a relic. Uh, you can become an expert student of advertising, right? That's the only takeaway I have from it.
So, how do like senior teams, like creative directors, like decide whether an idea is good or bad? When no one is expert, then how do they decide?
So, of course, you know, it's a very simple thing that you might be doing every day on social media, right? Like
Yeah,
you're scrolling through a number of posts, and some of them make you stop, right? Uh, why do they make you stop, right? It's because either it's something so unique that you haven't seen before, right?
yeah,
Uh, it is something that effectively you could instantly relate to, right? Uh, if it's something that uh, you can essentially, as a brand, totally own, and it's a truth, right? It's not something that has been just said for the sake of it. The brand
yeah.
or the person saying it actually manifests that, right? If these three things get checked, I think that's a good idea, right? So is it unique? Is it clear? Is it ownable? Right? Is it relatable? Right? These are things which essentially help you understand that there is merit in a particular idea, right? And then the most important hat you've got to wear is that, is it interesting to you, or is it going to be interesting to the person where it really works? Empathy is very important, right? Many ideas are loved by the agency folk, they're loved by the client, but the end consumer, right? You know, the end consumer is the most important lens that you put on top of all of this. That we love this idea, but this idea is what our consumer will really love, right? So you never need to forget why we do what we do, right? There is an outcome. Words are supposed to move people, ideas are supposed to move products. And if you find the words that you feel will move the right people and ideas that will move the product, then you have your winner.
So like now, like when different generation can interpret the same campaign very differently. So even that like we follow the same checklist.
Well, I think it's great that that Edward de Bono has a multiple hats strategy, right? You think like the cynic, you think like the optimist, and there are quite a few others, right? So
Yeah,
different perspectives are great, right? The important thing is that these are all perspectives of the creators of the idea, right? Again, the most important thing is the receiver of the idea, right? Which idea will resonate with them? And when you start a brief, it's actually a blank canvas. Nobody has the answer, and there is no one right answer, right? So, number of perspectives are always welcome. It's enriching, but then you need one person with the experience and the discernment to essentially connect that out of all the ideas and perspectives on the table, for this particular brief and for this particular target audience, this is the best idea, right? More the merrier in terms of perspectives, but never lose relevance to who you are creating the idea for.
Okay, so I'm just going to take the name of a campaign. Like recently, Flipkart has done a campaign like OnlyFans. Like, do you know about this? So,
I think
some
so.
yeah. So like for millennials, like that campaign, like I don't think that campaign worked for them. Like, and for Gen Zs, they are like, oh wow, this ad is like so amazing. Like two generation and different concept for the same campaign, and their audience can be
Right. I understand
millennials,
where you're
can be
coming from.
Gen Zs.
So, as I said, that look, whenever a brief is made by a company, I think first they need to make a brief for themselves, right? Why are we looking at doing a campaign, right? Let's say that the insights or the research that they've done says that not enough Gen Z has an affinity towards the Flipkart brand. They probably have affinity towards a competitor brand, right? Now, the objective of that time period is to come up with something that is relatable and creates affinity with Gen Z, then that's probably the guiding force behind why they made creative like that, right? Because they knew who would respond positively or at least react to this communication, and that was their bullseye target audience, right? So, look, you cannot be everything to everybody, right? You've got to choose who you are writing for, and you've got to essentially understand what motivates them, what they relate to, and you've got to write for them, right? If you try to be everything to everybody, you'll end up being nobody for anybody, right? So it's probably guided by a strategic purpose, I hope, right? Otherwise, it's just what happens is sometimes mature products are handed to fairly young writers who probably haven't had a direct experience with a product category or a market or a TG psyche, and they create from their sensibilities, right? That's where a creative director layer is necessary. If the brief mandates that yes, this needs to hit out at Gen Z, and someone came up with a concept that appeals to Gen Z, it should be given the green light and it should be shared with the market, right? On the other hand, if someone realizes that this may our objective was to hit a wider audience or a different audience, and this may be relatable to a different audience, they need to be the filter to kind of say that we need to think that some of an idea that's more aligned to who we are talking to.
Okay.
There's
So
an interesting conversation I had recently. I had an interesting conversation recently. Many brands say that our target group is 18 to 45. That's a wide audience, and if you see in certain beauty brands, they're hiring three brand ambassadors, right? A
yeah.
younger one, someone who will essentially appeal to the millennials, and then someone who probably Gen X may respond more strongly to, right? That could be a way forward, right? Like in the sense that even your product bouquet could essentially be divided into what is essentially catering to which section of the audience. It's still the same brand, but it needs to speak with different sensibilities to different audiences. Maybe that's the way large brands may have to embrace a wide range of audiences that they're talking.
Okay, so what skills like remain timeless in advertising, like regardless of how much audience changes?
I think ideas are emotional. Uh, Emotions will stay the same, irrespective of the platforms. Uh, Execution requires discipline. That will always remain the same, right? So the empathy to understand people and the discipline to execute, right? These are two things I think which are very important that everybody should harness and develop.
You know what? Like sometimes, like people get attached to their ideas, like when they are like breaking the brief
Well,
and then they.
correct. So, look, at least for me, at a personal level, I understood very early on that as a creative person, you are more emotional, right? And attachment is a natural, or to your ideas, is a natural consequence of being emotional, right? But find expressions of your emotional creativity in various domains, right? Uh, you may have to categorize, that here I will use my skills and intellect from the point of view of creating a life, earning a living that will
Yeah,
feed my passion for creativity somewhere else. Correct. So that would be my advice to a lot of creative people, right? Because uh, just because you like the idea, you're not the sponsor of the idea, right? And no
yeah,
brand will say that I am willing to go ahead with this idea because you love it, you are attached to it, right? It's at the end a client's business, and sometimes they know their business. Always, they know their business better than you know their business, right? Uh, your business is to create, right? Create with your heart. uh, Always put in that one option that you truly believe in. You never know. Sometimes, like once when I had heard a speech by someone who was, when I was in college, someone said that, stood up and told a very respected agency owner that I've applied to your organization so many times, but I've never got a call for an interview. And she said just this one line, if you're that good, change us, right? And I think that's keep passionately putting in your work that you have a lot of conviction for, along with the option that you know works for the brand. And sometimes you don't know, right? You might be able to change the mind of your consumer, and the feeling you'll walk away with will be uncomparable to anything else.
yeah. So now it's time to move on to our next segment, like हमारे ज़माने की बात. So, what's the biggest difference you have noticed between the storytelling before AI and today? Like, has technology made the job easier or more difficult? You have worked, I think,
Um,
before AI and after AI.
Sure, yes. So I think AI has removed the excuses, right? There are point of times where people could say that, oh, no, no, this is not possible, right? Now everything is possible. In fact, I think what AI has done is that it has armed storytellers with so much more capability, right? And I hope and pray that this industry understands, that when a client comes to an agency and they say, why don't you guys use AI? It should not be from the point of view of to cut costs. They should come with the mandate, use AI to create something remarkable, because now creating something remarkable is possible, right? It is
Yeah.
possible to do quickly, and the skills are amplified. So when the industry starts looking at AI as a amplifier of great storytelling rather than a cost cutter of storytelling, I think we would have truly understood the meaning of what AI can do for our industry.
So, what do you think, like creative? What do you think the creative agency of the future will look like after AI?
Uh, Fewer people, uh, specialists, right? Uh, Agencies which is with a strong perspective rather than capability for large volume of output will be the agencies that will survive, right? Because today execution has been democratized. The client can hire people to kind of execute, but agencies which essentially, I think the market is going to be divided into two types of organizations. The organizations that will be busy doing the work that is business as usual, and the
Yeah.
agencies which should specialize in coming strategically in every quarter for a client and saying that, okay, what does your business need now? How can we come up and spend our time thinking of that one big idea that can move the needle for you, right? So I think the industry is going to get divided into whether you want to be, and both are equally important, not to take away anything from anyone, right? But this is how the industry might get bifurcated. You clients may have a specialist agency to kind of come in for the more strategic work, and they may have a reliable agency that can churn out high volume of output that is required as well from a brand's perspective for visibility.
So, you can see the ad everywhere, like even it is Instagram or other reels, short form content like Geo, like any other like social media app, you can see the ad everywhere. So, do you think the advertising industry is going to rise up? Do you think, like, compared then now, like today's, it is going to rise?
How advertising has evolved, right? There was a time, and I've seen that in my lifetime, when there was one television channel, one radio station, probably one brand in every category, which was advertising, right?
Yeah.
People knew the jingles by heart. The advertisements were part of the entertainment you got through both radio and television, right? Advertising was almost looked out for, right? Today, you have so much noise, so many brands in every category, correct? Uh, Advertising doesn't have an option to slow down in terms of pace. It doesn't have an option of reducing in terms of volume, but it has to improve in terms of quality, right? Because when there is more noise, it's the really good voices that right? So I think it's time for the entire industry to take stock that we are everywhere, but how good are we wherever we are, right? That's the important question to take into consideration.
Even we can see the ad or like on the interface of our phone. Normally, if you are not using it, even you like ad like pop-ups on our screen.
So the thing is, like, so many things that you enjoy, sports, entertainment, movies,
Yeah,
right, would not exist if advertisers were not funding these, right? In the
yeah.
sense that uh, there's history will tell you that art needs patrons. Those patrons may have ulterior motives, commercial motives, but for you to be able to go to a stadium and watch a cricket match or watch a football game, you has to put in the money for that broadcast to be possible, for that event to be organized, right? So I think it's not a question of whether advertising will stay or it will go away, right? Whether advertising can redeem itself to be of a quality that it's not intrusive but welcome.
So like today's agency often have like Gen Z's interns, millennials, and senior leaders, or were all working on like same brand. So as a team leader, how do you manage different perspectives, work styles, and creative approaches across generation?
Sure. So I think irrespective of age and ego, the first thing that the leader needs to be is to be honest. Out of the three demographics in the room,
Yeah.
uh, based on the category and the consumer that they're working on, who understands it best, right? Uh, the other two demographics need to be quiet students in the room and learn first and absorb everything that the demographic that is closest to the category and the consumer has to say about it. Collate all the insights, right? So what
Yeah.
happens is the young team brings energy, fresh ideas, right? Uh, Millennials probably would, based on their experience, be able to give those ideas flourish and recognize patterns, right? The senior leader then needs to essentially kind of play the role of a music conductor almost, right? Facilitate the seamless integration of energetic idea with the right execution and strategic direction, and make sure that the output is uh, the strong and most appropriate output is selected, Then, as I said, sell it internally and externally with full conviction.
Okay, so I have read your bio, and you have mentioned like you have been the part of many successful pitch wins throughout the career. So, in your experience, what are the three or four points like that points that can instantly make a client feel confident about an agency during like pitch?
I think the first and most important thing is that clarity of whether they've understood the client's business problem, right? Second is whether there is conviction in the idea, right? In
Yeah,
terms of has it been thought through? Is the team confident, right? Not that, hey, we've come with option one, option two, and option three. Now we leave it on to you, right? And thirdly, I think confidence and not arrogance to be able to defend your idea when someone plays the devil's advocate. These are three things I've noticed that essentially go a long way in helping you win a pitch.
so there are any like are there any points to like we need to mention in our pitch deck, like their importance? Some
So, a pitch deck, firstly, I don't believe in extensive pitch decks, right? Uh, Agencies are of the opinion clients are very excited to see the agency's pitch. In my experience, no. Anyone who has 1,000 things to do in a day has to get into a conference room and sit for 40 minutes listening to someone else ramble on and on.
yeah.
Uh, is not a pleasant experience, especially when you're seeing multiple agencies in the same room, almost saying the same thing over and over again. Because the bulk of the insights may be common, right?
Yeah.
Uh, So respect the frame of mind of the person who's going to be a witness to the pitch, right? Who's going to be the recipient of that pitch oration. Respect their time, respect their intelligence. Don't spend time telling them what they already know. Dive directly into the crux and the heart of the problem. Uh, and even if this slide deck is 20 slides, there'll be just three slides that will really win you the pitch, right? Put your heart and soul into those three slides, and uh, you leave enough room in the presentation time to have a conversation, right? Because pitches are rehearsed. Uh, the conversations and the idea exchange and the chemistry you share with the client gives them more confidence about you're the right person to work, right? Because a brief in a pitch is still half baked. It's once you get on board and you understand the insights of the business, can you really make an impact for the client, right? This interaction is just a forum where they're selecting who to spend and invest time with in terms of building that rapport and partnership with to solve the problem that they're facing.
How do you like start your pitch? Like start from the insights or like directly from the idea?
I think I start with a human truth that the whole pitch revolves around, right? Because if the idea is augured to a human truth, uh,
Yeah.
it's very unlikely that the idea will be wrong, correct? Right? So, uh, whether it's in the form of a quote, whether it's in form of a psychological fact about the idea, I start there. Is essentially it's how do I say? That's the bullseye that we are trying to reach. It's been established, it's been proven, it's universal and enduring, right? And as long as the rest of the deck essentially resonates that one human truth, uh, you have a mind that cannot argue with the semantics of the deck because the truth is just so profound and true.
Uh, okay. Okay. I'm going to follow this tip while creating my pitch deck. Okay, so like after years of experience in this industry, so like do a senior professional still have to go through like traditional interviews, or does hiring work differently at that level? Like if I'm like new one, so like they conduct like 4 rounds. Like telephonic, then this was technical, like face to face, like assignment, like there are so many roles. So like seniors
Yeah.
also experience the same
No,
thing.
so 3 or 4 interviews may still be a pattern that senior professionals go through. These may be with different departments, right? The senior most HR person may see if you're a cultural fit, right? The CEO may want to see if you have strong business understanding and category experience with what the CMA might want to see whether you have strong perspective about the industry and what were the insights that guided the work you do if you were going to a brand, and if it's an agency, I think the agency founder would evaluate from the point of view, can I trust you? Do you have a strong perspective that will showcase our agency's credibility and intelligence in a strong light? And do you have the ability to create leaders such as yourself in the team? These are the three things, right? It's not so much going through the portfolio or the work you've done. If you had not done that work, you wouldn't be sitting at that table, right? So these are the things I think, in my experience, I've noticed how interviews happen at a senior level.
So now our like next segment, like advice corner. So what are the most important attributes in a creative person? And after that, like I also want to know, like, uh, does this advertising industry have place for introvert people?
Oh, I think the advertising industry is full of introverted people. Okay, let me start by that. Creative people are basically lonely people. They are in creative professions because the only way they connect with the world is through the work that they do. They try to express themselves. Look deep into the work of a creative person and you see their soul, right? So there is, uh, I think they won't just have a place, they'll thrive in the creative profession. The two skills that they must have, as I said, uh, the empathy and understanding of human nature, because ideas are truly emotional, and the discipline to stick with execution over and over and over again, right? So that craft is sharpened. These two things you bring to the table, add a unending curiosity of learning and raising your own standards. At least these are the three things that I've lived by through almost 21 years of being in this profession so far.
There is one more thing, like I think creative people have like thick skin. They need that. Like after so
Yes,
many rejection, you are still like showing up daily, like in agency and like coming up with ideas. Like yeah, they actually need a thick skin.
absolutely. You're right. You can't imagine going to a doctor, him prescribing something, and you say, no, no, I don't like this medicine, right? Or a lawyer giving a piece of advice and you say, I don't agree, right? But that's the thing when you work in, an abstract industry such as ours. There is no one right answer, right? It's You sign up for this industry because you are a seeker in search of answers, and you endlessly search for answers. Some of those answers will resonate in the right rooms with the right people, and that will formulate your growth path in this industry.
So like if you were starting your career like from zero in 2026 with no contacts, no reputation, no portfolio, like you have no portfolio, like zero work done. So what would be your strategy?
I think exactly what I do even now, right? I would make my own briefs and I would essentially come up with ideas for those briefs, make the work so compelling and provocative that people can't help but take notice, correct? And
Yeah.
once people know what you're capable of, more often than not, rather than you having to knock on their doors, they'll knock on yours, right? Or at least it'll help you kind of prove that given the opportunity, this is what you're capable of, right? If you wait for an agency to give you an opportunity for doing creative work, you may be waiting for your entire life. But if you start doing creative work and keep getting better at it, agencies may be happy to welcome you to pursue that passion in their organization.
On LinkedIn, you can see like there are lots of studies. Like everyone, like they post.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
And I'm glad, because I think what happens is with data and stress on effectively research, and these are all great things, right? Uh, Brands have become risk averse, right? They're afraid to try anything different uh, by virtue of sometimes that no news is good news. As long as nobody is kind of trolling our brand, we are in a great space. Uh, they're doing too much competitor scanning. If someone has done this, let's do this, right? I think if brands see that spec ads are being loved and admired, it may open them again to focusing on the one thing they come to an agency for, creativity, right? And I hope this wave brings a positive influence in the industry.
okay, one more thing. Like, what do you think? Working with celebrities is easier or working without like celebrity? Like, which one is better for a brand, for a creative person, like both for both?
So I think there's no one strong answer for this, right? Like in the sense that if your product has something so unique that it does not require a celebrity for it to first be noticed, right? So if you look at any you know professional relationship or professional interaction, whether it be a customer and a business or a employee and an employer, or two people who are in interacting from a business perspective, it's who are you, what have you done, what can you do for us, right? uh, Sometimes the celebrity helps augment for a brand who they are, right? There is a notion that if this brand is able to bring on board a celebrity, it gains some credibility. I'm not saying that it's true, but at least the perception is that uh, they're leveraging the credibility and the popularity and the visibility of a celebrity to be known till such point where effectively if the brand is that good and it becomes, I think the journey is always that have a celebrity on board to introduce who you are, till a point where a celebrity no longer needs to introduce who you are, right? So that would be the right way to go. But if your product is, you don't really need a celebrity. You just need to understand and express the need, unique need that your product and only your product is solving. That doesn't need a celebrity. That the idea and the innovation is the celebrity, right? It's something that a person sees, oh, finally someone has come up with something like this, right? And I need it, I want it, right? No celebrity is needed here. But if you're one more product, you don't have a very strong differentiator and you need to quickly create credibility and a market, celebrity association may be the way to go.
Do you think like celebrities like sometimes like they overshadow the brand?
So how the celebrity endorsement is treated and the selection of the celebrity will guide that, right? Like if someone wants a celebrity irrespective of whether they're a fit, whether they can authentically uh, live the brand truth, right? If the celebrity can't authentically live the brand truth and you get them on board, right, there's going to be conflict, right? And when you say the celebrity overshadow, that means your product isn't worth getting a celebrity on board, right? If a celebrity can, you know, overshadow your product, right? As I said, the idea is there is no substitute, no amount of marketing that can sell a bad product. Your product being good is the first most important foundation before you even think of taking it to market with or without a celebrity. If you don't have a product that can win a market, don't launch it. till you're ready and then you refine the product enough that you feel that no celebrity would be able to launch it to overshadow it in the future, right? You want to take that thing? We can repeat.
No, 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 no. It's fine. Okay, so the most important question, like, do you think like a mid-career crisis exists in advertising, just like it does in other industries?
Of course, it does. I think, and it may not always be from the point of view of fatigue. It may be a loss of identity, right? So, as a creative person, as I said, you're always looking at new, interesting challenges, right? Sometimes what happens is when you get the organization recognizes that when you are dealt with a particular project like this, you do it really well and it goes through. You may be succeeding, but this is not really fulfilling you as a creative person, right? And you want for creative people, their work is their identity, right? If their identity starts becoming monotonous, they need to effectively reinvent or at least renew their career with something that essentially uh, ignites that passion again, right? Makes them almost uh, uncomfortable, right? Because I think comfort zone also tire people out, right? After a point of time, that essentially, if things become too mechanical, too formulaic, you're not really doing creative work anymore. You're essentially it's not really experience. You're replicating the same formulas, the same processes over and over again. It's not building you internally. So then I think creative people seek out new organizations or new avenues to express themselves.
Okay, so okay, so let's wrap this up with a funny question. So, if you had to
So,
describe agency life using a meme or song, movie, or movie character, so who would it be?
uh, I think it'll be a combination between The Devil Wears Prada and Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? Too many demands, too much happening all together, but the show must go on.
Thank you so much, Manish, for taking the time to share such a valuable insight and experiences from your journey. And it truly means a lot. Seriously, it truly means a lot. And I'm damn sure aspiring creatives listening to this will going to take something meaningful and valuable from our conversation. So thank you so much.
I hope so. Thank you for having me and wish you all the best in this endeavor.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right.